Welcome to the deep dive. We are going straight into something pretty fundamental today, the foundation of trust.
We are. We're pulling a thread from, well, some ancient wisdom and tracing it right into how your brain is wired.
Today's topic is this really enduring warning. It's about false witness, malicious speech.
Yeah, and our main source is a text that's literally thousands of years old, Proverbs 19.28. But honestly, it feels incredibly relevant right now, maybe more than ever, with how fast information spreads.
That's so true. So we're diving into this text, and it really focuses squarely on the speaker, right? The individual's responsibility.
Exactly. Our mission, you could say, is to understand how this kind of bad faith speech breaks down trust in groups, in communities.
And also, maybe the most fascinating part, why our own brains, our sort of evolutionary wiring, might sometimes find the lie. Well, the easier path.
Okay, let's start with the text itself. Proverbs 19, verse 28. The core meaning is something like, "The witness of worthlessness scoffs at judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity." I mean, it's pretty intense language.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, let's break down those two metaphors. They seem key. First, the scoffing witness. What does that really mean, scoffs?
Yeah, the original word there, it suggests more than just, disagreeing. It implies a deep contempt
Contempt for what? The judgment itself.
for the whole process. The procedure of justice, the system designed to find truth and fairness. This witness of worthlessness treats that whole mechanism with disdain, almost like they're trampling on it.
Huh. Trampling justice. So that feels like the external damage, right? Harm to the community, the system.
Precisely.
Yep.
But then the verse shifts. It talks about the speaker's internal state with the second metaphor, the devouring mouth.
That sounds, yeah, really personal. Almost like an addiction.
It does. It's meant to be shocking, I think. It's this raw image. The wicked person doesn't just tell lies. They actively devour iniquity. They greedily consume it, habitually.
Iniquity. What exactly does that word Avon mean here? Is it just sin?
It's more specific than just general sin. It fundamentally means distortion, crookedness, twisting things away from what's straight or true.
Okay, so the speaker is like gulping down distortion, twisting facts, and building up this kind of moral debt, this crookedness inside themselves.
Exactly. While at the same time, they're trampling the systems meant to find fairness outside. It's that double whammy.
Wow. And the focus is always on the speaker, the person doing the scoffing and devouring.
Consistently, yes. The text points to the witness of worthlessness, and the core warning is that this individual act, it's not contained, it spreads, it metastasizes.
So one person's lie, or even just like a carelessly malicious comment, isn't just about them. It attacks the foundation of trust everywhere.
In the courtroom, sure, but also think about schools, workplaces, families even. Anywhere that relies on people basically believing each other.
It's like the social glue, and this kind of speech just dissolves it.
Perfectly put.
Yeah.
So if we focus on that potential speaker, the person tempted to act this way, what's the text really warning against?
What's the most discouraged action?
I think it boils down to what we could call clever conformity. Twisting the facts slightly. Maybe not out of pure malice, but because, well, it aligns you with the group's mood.
Or it gets you something you want right now, personal gain. It just pays off in the moment.
Exactly. It's convenient. It feels easier.
Okay, it's easy to judge that from the outside, but I think, if we're honest, most of us have felt that pull, that temptation for the easy win, the immediate reward. Why? Why are we wired like that?
Now you're touching on something deep. It might be, you could say, an evolutionary misstep, or maybe a survival strategy that's just misguided now.
How so?
Well, for almost all of human history, our survival depended completely on staying within the group.
Right.
Get kicked out and, well,
You're done for.
pretty much. So our older brain structures, they have this kind of knee-jerk reaction.
Things too.
Prioritize short-term conformity, loyalty to your immediate in-group, because historically that meant safety, approval, resources right now.
Yeah. So when there's tension or maybe a difficult truth comes up, that ancient part of the brain just screams, don't rock the boat.
Exactly. Just go along with it, swallow the lies, swallow the group story. It's easier now.
So choosing to devour iniquity in this sense is choosing that immediate comfort of fitting in over the harder, maybe more abstract idea of long-term fairness for everyone.
That's the fundamental tension. And the damage, it doesn't stop with just that first lie or distortion.
Right, because once it's out there.
Cognitive psychology tells us how it spreads, how it starts to erode that foundation of judgment the text talks about. And this brings us straight to something called the illusory truth effect.
Ah, yes. This is fascinating. How a lie repeated often enough starts to feel true. How does that work?
It's almost disturbingly simple. Repetition increases how true we perceive something to be. The more times you hear or read a statement, could be a total lie, a rumor, just something unverified, the easier it becomes for your brain to process it.
And we mistake that ease of processing.
For factual accuracy, we think, oh, I've heard that before. It feels familiar. It must be true. We rate its truthiness higher.
Now, I always assumed this mostly affects people who aren't well informed, or maybe people getting conflicting information,
That's the common assumption. But the research, particularly work by Fazio and others back in 2015, showed something much more concerning.
which affects even people who think they know the facts.
Precisely. It's a critical finding. They tested people on various statements, some true, some false. But crucially, they measured what the participants actually knew before they started repeating the statements in the experiment.
Okay, and what happened? Did knowing the truth protect them?
Not completely. That's the kicker. They found that repetition increased the perceived truthiness of false statements, even when people already knew the correct information that contradicted the lie.
Wait, hang on. So even if I know for a fact that statement X is false, if I keep seeing statement X repeated everywhere, on social media and conversations, my brain still starts to nudge it towards the maybe true pile?
That's exactly what the data suggests. Your existing knowledge helps, it provides some defense, but it's not like perfect immunity.
Wow.
Yeah. Just being exposed to the repeated lie slowly chips away at your certainty. It adds to that collective sense of crookedness, that distortion in the public square.
That is genuinely quite scary because it means that first act, that clever conformity impulse to just share something unverified because it feels right or fits in,
It directly contributes to degrading everyone's ability to discern truth. Even smart, informed people, people like, well, like you listening right now.
which loops right back to why that ancient wisdom was so focused on restraining the speaker first.
Exactly. If you want to stop the illusory truth effect from taking hold, you have to put the brakes on that initial impulse, the impulse to share without checking, to conform without thinking.
And incredibly, there's a biological basis for this brake system.
There is. This connects ancient moral insight directly to, well, brain geography. We're talking about a specific part of your brain, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the DLPFC.
The DLPFC. Okay, what does that part do? Is it the brain's fact checker?
You could sort of think of it as the brain's executive control center,
Uh.
or maybe the compliance officer. It's heavily involved in planning, working memory, decision-making, and crucially, inhibition, stopping impulses, rule following.
It's located right up front behind the forehead.
That's the area. And its job, in this context, is to manage conflict.
What kind of conflict?
The core conflict we've been discussing. Honesty versus immediate self-interest. You've got your brain's reward system yelling, go on, conform, tell the convenient lie, get the social points now.
And the DLPFC is supposed to step in.
Yes, it's supposed to manage that impulse, weigh the long-term consequences, consider the social rules, the value of honesty, and inhibit the short-sighted action.
So if telling the truth benefits the community, maybe me included, in the long run, but telling a quick lie gives me that immediate dopamine hit of approval or avoids conflict, the DLPFC is the traffic cop deciding whether I run that red light.
That's a great analogy. And scientific studies back this up. When people face choices, say getting a small financial reward for lying versus being honest, activity in the DLPFC is critical. It has to actively work to suppress the impulse to grab the immediate reward dishonestly.
So what happens if that brain region, the DLPFC, is impaired, or maybe just not well exercised if you don't practice restraining those impulses?
Well, research shows that reduced function in the DLPFC leads people to place less weight on honesty when they make decisions. They become literally, neurobiologically, less inclined to prioritize truth over that immediate short-term gain.
So the brain's reduced ability to inhibit, it maps directly onto that ancient metaphor, the impulse to devour iniquity for quick satisfaction.
It aligns perfectly. Restraint, then, isn't just a moral virtue floating in the air. It's a cognitive function. It requires exercising that executive part of your brain.
So if you habitually speak without verifying, if you constantly twist info to fit a narrative, you're essentially training your brain not to use its brakes. You're letting the devouring mouth win.
And the cost, as the text implies, is never just personal. It's paid by the community in damaged trust. We see these small-scale breakdowns all the time, like the cultural festival example from our sources.
Ah, yeah, this is a really clear illustration. Low stakes, maybe just some missing supplies, but the social fallout is huge.
Right. Imagine a high school class planning this festival. Supplies vanish. One student, let's call her Mia, overhears someone mention pure hearsay that another student, Ben, had the box last.
Okay, so Mia doesn't know for sure.
Not at all. But instead of checking with the teacher or asking Ben directly and privately, what does she do? She posts in the class group chat. Pretty sure Ben had it last, but he didn't check it back in.
Oof. Okay, so maybe not outright malice, but she definitely chose the quick hit of being the info sharer, maybe solving the problem fast over actually checking. She swallowed the distortion.
She did. And bang, the illusory truth effect kicks in immediately within that small group. Other students, the amplifiers, they chime in. Yeah, I think I heard that too. Or, ugh, Ben's always losing stuff.
They jump on the bandwagon, maybe wanting to seem involved, or just going with the flow, that clever conformity again.
Exactly. And suddenly, Ben, who might be completely innocent, is facing this wave of accusation. The rumor spreads like wildfire.
The class mood turns toxic towards him.
Yes. He gets sidelined. Maybe people stop talking to him. The festival prep stalls because there's tension. The basic fairness of the situation, finding the supplies, resolving conflict properly gets trampled.
They've scoffed at judgment by jumping to conclusions based on emotion and rumor.
Precisely. The group gets this false sense of satisfaction. Aha, we found the culprit, which overrides the need for actual truth. Ben's treated as guilty until proven innocent, maybe not even then.
And then inevitably the supplies turn up later. Found in a closet, nothing to do with Ben.
Right. Ben is technically cleared, but the damage is already done. Trust is broken. Ben doesn't trust his classmates anymore. Mia, the original speaker, loses credibility. The whole class dynamic is soured. Preparation was delayed.
Mia's mouth devoured iniquity by choosing the rumor, and the whole group suffered.
A perfect small-scale example of the proverb in action.
Okay, this leads us directly to the practical side. What can we do? We need a tool, something to activate that DLPFC broke system when we feel that urge to share something we haven't verified. An if-then plan.
Yes, and the core idea has to be radical restraint and careful redirection. We have to start by acknowledging that the urge to share gossip or a hot take or something that just feels true is powerful. It promises that immediate reward.
So the IF. If you find yourself tempted to speak out publicly in a meeting, a group chat, anywhere really about someone else's supposed mistake or wrongdoing.
Or even just share a really compelling story you heard.
Right, based only on what you've heard, secondhand, thirdhand, not from a primary source.
Then stop. Halt the public sharing immediately. First step, check yourself. Do you personally have primary source knowledge? Did you witness the event? Did you see the document?
And if the answer is no.
If it's no, then that information absolutely should not be spread publicly within the group. If it needs to be shared at all, it goes only to the person or body actually responsible for verification or action.
Like a manager or a teacher.
Exactly. The appropriate authority. And even then, you share it with a huge caveat. This is something I heard. It's unverified, but you should know people are saying X. You flag it clearly as hearsay.
Okay, so that redirects the concern towards proper channels, towards verification, without poisoning the well of public trust with distortion. It breaks the cycle.
It stops the illusory truth effect before it even gets started. And to make that discipline really stick, to help us remember in the moment, we need a kind of mental shortcut, a memory hook.
A mantra to trigger the DLPFC, to remind it to step on the brakes.
Yes, and it's basically the complete opposite of the proverb's warning. Instead of the mouth-devouring iniquity.
You need to prioritize fact.
The mantra is this.
Yeah.
Fact only, swallow the emotion.
Fact only, swallow the emotion. Explain that.
Think about what drives that impulse to share unverified stuff. It's often emotional, right? The desire to fit in, the excitement of having news, the anger that confirms your bias, the satisfaction of having an answer, even if it's wrong.
Right, that craving for the immediate reward.
That's the emotion. If you can consciously choose to swallow that emotion, recognize it, acknowledge it, but don't act on it. You stop yourself from swallowing the iniquity, the distortion. You prioritize the fact or the lack of fact instead.
That's a really powerful distinction. Swallow your feeling about the story, not the story itself if it's unverified.
That's exactly. Check the fact first. If there's no fact, swallow the urge to share.
Okay. So let's bring this all together for everyone listening. 3 key takeaways from this deep dive. First, false or unverified speech, even if it's just that clever conformity, it really does break communal trust. It scoffs at justice.
Second, your brain literally has a biological brake system, the DLPFC, which needs to be consciously engaged. You have to practice fighting that impulse for the easy short-term gain of sharing unchecked info. If you're not verifying, you're basically letting your lower order instincts run the show.
And third, that illusory truth effect is real and powerful. Repetition breeds belief, even false belief. So restricting the spread of non-primary information isn't just polite, it's essential. If you can't cite a primary source, you risk becoming part of the problem.
Your commitment to checking facts before you speak or share, that's your fundamental responsibility if you want to live in a society based on trust. Which brings us to our final thought.
Given that this ancient text is warning us so strongly against letting that immediate reward social validation, confirming our biases, whatever it is, dictate what comes out of our mouths,
We leave you with this question to think about.
what deliberate, conscious check do you have in place right now, today, to ensure that when you're consuming, and especially when you're sharing information, particularly on these super fast platforms designed to reward quick reactions, that you are actively prioritizing fact verification and long-term fairness over that fleeting, addictive hit you get from spreading a compelling, but maybe unverified, story?
Something to really consider.
We'll let you mull that over. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.